Hi. Today, I would like to talk about a topic that I hear often, which is that the myth that introverted people don't like connection or don't like human beings in general. And that is not true, or at least it's not that simple. The reason I bring it here is because it came up in a conversation that I had with Jason Frizzell during a live recording of his podcast. He was hosting me in his podcast, talking to cool people, which was a very fun experience. And we talked about how we perceive life as being an extrovert. He identifies as an extrovert, and I identify as an introvert. So it was a fun conversation about how it shows up in our lives and at work. So it was mainly through the leadership lens. And we were talking about different factors and ways of how we are different or similar and how we could benefit from one another. And one topic that came up was that the question if introverts simply don't like people. And it's a question that I hear often. And I understand if you don't know a lot about the topic itself, that might be a question that arises. Or even as an introvert, you wonder, do I just don't like people? Because it sometimes feels so much easier and more comforting to spend the night alone versus going to a big birthday party. And something that I found out in the last years of researching, because the moment that I recognized, I often felt like something was wrong with me or I wasn't fitting in the expectations of companies or clients that I work with. I noticed that introversion is often still perceived as a weakness, and that's just one way to look at it, not a very empowering one. And in my research, I found out that there is also just a difference on how our brains work. So extroverted people and introverted people have different brains. They're just wired in slightly different ways. So what they found out in a study is that extroverts needs more social interactions, the length and also the amount of people that they need to have a certain level of dopamine. And dopamine is the hormone that makes us feel happy and content and in flow and in alignment and all these good things. It just makes us feel happy and joy. And introverts, on the other hand, need less social interactions to have the same level of dopamine. So that was an interesting finding because it means that if you're an introverted people, you really need less social interactions, meaning maybe shorter visits or less people that you interact with to already be happy. And extroverts need more to get to the same level. And since we know that with a lot of things, it's good to have a certain level of something, and if it's too much, it has a negative effect too. If we think about drinking and having fun, we usually, if we overpace it, we'll have a hangover afterwards. And that's similar here too. And also, the amount, the dose that generates the hangover is different for everyone as well. Some prefer to drink one glass and then they feel already a little like dizzy and funny and they enjoy it. Some like to drink 3 or 5 glasses, depending on who you are and how you digest alcohol, whatever it is that you drink. But it's a similar effect here with dopamine as well. It just gives us an indication that everyone's wired in a different way. Also, if you identify as an introvert, it doesn't mean that you're 100% introverted. Usually, you're somewhere in the middle of the scale. So to a certain degree, you're an introvert, and to a certain degree, you're extroverted. So also that is just, it's very individual and very personal, how you perceive social interactions, what are the levels of social interactions you need to have the right amount of dopamine, and don't overpace it because it's literally having a hangover. If you have too many social interaction as an introvert, you get a headache, you overpace. You just feel overwhelmed. It's too much. And especially for the ones that are highly sensitive too, you know the feeling of when you just consume too many information at once. It's uncomfortable. And so, yeah, there's literally a difference in how our body works depending on our personality structure. And for me, I can say I am an introvert and my job is to work with people. I love one-on-one connection. I love my one-on-one coaching sessions or the group coaching programs I run or the big trainings that I facilitate and host. And at the same time, I also know that I need a pause afterwards. I need a time out. I need to have alone time where I can read a book or where I can walk outside or just spend time for myself to refill my battery and be responsible for that. So, and that's the piece that I'd like to offer here too. We're different. Everyone's different. And what will make a difference for you as well is to understand how you're wired. What do you need? What is too much? What is the exactly right amount? And then take care of whatever you need to take care of in order to be supported and be happy. So you're not wrong. You're exactly the way you need to be. You just need to change your structure or how you take care of yourself. And that also applies for going back to work. We noticed so far that employees are looking for the flexibility when we're talking about hybrids and days where they need to go to work or stay at home. Most don't really care about the amount so much. It's more about the flexibility itself. And that's also an example of how important it is to understand what's the need under a symptom or a reaction or emotion of something. So thanks for listening and have a great day.